Mr. Gavel, call the meeting to order
First
and
time being president.
take your roll call
All
and
right.
keep going on the agenda.
Yeah.
Parliamentary procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, well, Monday, March 24th, 2025, this is the Park and Rec Board meeting, we're gonna call it to order. And then we can go through roll call. Tim Weber, here. Wendy Kuehl,
Here.
Frank Blaine,
Here.
Kandi Lewin,
Here.
Duncan Woodhull,
Here.
and Ryan Horner's out with notice, and Craig Wagner.
Here.
All right. First, we would take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
All
I'll
right.
second.
Very good. Motion made. Now do we do an approval of that, or do we just?
You
vote
can
for
do either do a
approval?
roll call or all in favor, aye, or.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There you go.
Good. And then next we can move to approve the previous minutes from last month, February 24th.
I have one comment.
Yeah,
Meeting time was 6:30, not 7.
okay. Very good.
I'll make a motion to, do we have to
Approve with the
approve that change?
change. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the change in the meeting time.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
We have to approve it.
Do we get an approval with the chain, or with the change?
You could have just done like all in one, approve it with the
Oh.
amendment.
Okay.
Should we word it that way?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
take that as an amended approval.
Right.
Very good. And then, today we have Sean Bowen here. We're gonna open it up for public comments. I think he's gonna talk about some purple marlin. So Sean, feel free to take.
Oh, yeah, no, you
take
got,
the
let me,
stand.
let me. So, yeah, my name is Sean Bowen, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. We have some beautiful parks here. I was at the recent meeting a couple weeks ago. That was awesome. I'm gonna start the public comment off with a raise of hands. How many of you guys know what a purple martin is?
Oh, yeah.
Purple heart.
Purple martin.
The bird.
Okay, so
And the big white
this is
houses.
you're gonna remember this meeting for the rest of your life, okay? So, and I'm gonna try not to talk, I have a really bad habit, if you ever watch me on city council, I have a really bad habit of talking circuitously, which I start here and then I somehow get there to my point. I've been in sales for too long, Duncan, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So purple martins, and so I'm a big bird guy. Purple martins, so about 5 or 6 years ago, I've always been a backyard birder. And then I remember growing up in Colton, South Dakota, and a bunch of these old Dutch people had these little white birdhouses set up. And I remember thinking about that about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I was like, I wonder what those houses were for. So I started doing some research, and I was like, wait a minute, there's these birds called purple martins. So they're actually part of the swallow family. So you think of your barn swallows, your tree swallows, they're part of that same family of birds. But they are the largest bird in the swallow family, but they're also extremely unique from a number of, and I'm not going to try and get too in-depth here, I already gave Tim like a 30-minute sermon on it last week. So east of the Rockies, purple martins rely 100% on man-made housing to survive. They are your absolute most perfect backyard bird, and I'll tell you why. They are a beautiful bird, not just they're a blue color. All the male birds are fully blue, or sorry, purple. Obviously not blue. I'm colorblind, maybe. But also they're a beautiful songbird. But they're also, what makes them unique is that they're a bird that colonizes. And so I started about 5 years ago trying to get purple martins to my backyards. It took me 2 years, a lot of work. And this will be my 3rd year having purple martins there. If you guys know where Tim Graham lives on the golf course, he's got these little white bird houses. There's a few people in town that have these, they're either white bird houses or they put them in gourds. So if you think of like a gourd now, they make gourds that are plastic, they're a lot easier to clean out. So 3 years ago, I got my first pair, started growing my colony. So these birds are on I think they're on the endangered species list. But they are tremendous backyard birds. So as I've grown my colony, I've really enjoyed them. People come over to my house and they're just like, amazed. That you can just sit there and watch them. So there's like a whole conservation aspect to them. That's one of the reasons why I do it, is conservation, but also they're extremely enjoyable to watch. As I kind of started getting into the hobby, and I'm part of different Facebook groups. I'm part of the Purple Martin Conservation Association, which is a nonprofit organization based out of Pennsylvania that really shows landlords. So if you have purple martins at your house, you're considered a landlord. So I'm a landlord, but I don't own any other real estate than my house. But there are people out there who, will put up a purple martin colony or a house or some boards in public places. And so this has been something that's been on my mind for a number of years, but I was like, I want to get my own colony established. I want to learn how to take care of the birds. I want to kind of get more into the hobby before I start expanding. But it's a passion of mine that I guess I'm kind of coming to you guys more. This is more of an informational thing, but also to maybe point me in the right direction. I'm still trying to figure out the timing of this, but I think I think of Turtle Creek Park. There's and where you put your purple martin colony up, it has to be just right in terms of location. You can't have too many tall trees around, so there's a lot of.
They have to be by water too?
Yes,
Or a
yes.
certain-
Yes, and in Hartford, like we have so I always wonder, like, where do my birds go? And people, when you drive around, there's the creek going through town, there's the water at the golf course.
Yep.
But there's, right on Turtle Creek, there's that little body of water. I mean,
Yep.
and so one of my passions is to get just a small colony or one of these set up at Turtle Creek. And there's a couple reasons. Well, why would we have birds there? Well, first and foremost, I think that a lot of other cities that have done this, I've been doing some research. It's been drawing a lot of people to the park because they are just fun birds to watch. But also, it's a good way to create. I think, like in the 60s, I'm reading this Purple Martin book right now. I know I've got 5 minutes, so Tim, you cut me off when you want. But there's really no one here right now. But we will keep moving because I know SCSU is playing. But in the 60s, there was like this huge Purple Martin boom across the Midwest and pretty much all over the country east of the Rockies, where a lot of communities got involved. They started putting up, and so obviously a lot of those older people that had done that, they died away. So I'm trying to kind of like establish, to create some information on it, but it's a beautiful hobby. It's a beautiful hobby, but also I think it'd be just a beautiful addition to the park where we can, and this would be a project that I would financially take on. So I'm not looking for anything from the city. I'm not looking for any donations or any of those things. So I guess, like I said, this is more information. I'm holding back a lot, because I don't have 30 minutes up here. But I think in the future with it, there would be an opportunity where, I'm young, I have enough energy to teach people about them, to bring people to our park, and just to really add another, who would have thought, right? We've got the playground, we've got the bike trails and all that, and all we're missing is a purple martin colony and a pool, and those things.
Are those the house, do they have to be quite high?
Yeah, so about 12 to 16 feet high.
My grandparents had
Yep.
one in their backyard in Sioux Falls.
Yes.
And they need to be within a certain distance of a house, right? Or a
Yeah,
house
so they are birds that have, I would say that have evolved with, they become urban birds. Back in the day before all of the development, they would live in hollowed out trees. Now they rely 100%, the Purple Martin breed, east of the Rockies, 100% of them live in man-made housing. And so,
So they like the city better than the country?
yep, they do. Yep, so if you live in a house out in the country,
See, I do, yeah.
yep, so you can put them out there.
Would they come?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
we have a slough and everything. We have
Yes,
water.
they would absolutely would, but you should have your Purple Martin house between 40 to 120 feet of your house. So when they're around homes, they feel safe. That's just how they've evolved over the last probably 100 plus years. So there's some spots at Turtle Creek, on the north side of the creek, on the north side where I think there would be enough distance where you're, because you can't just go put a purple martin colony up in the middle of the field. They won't go there. They want to be around people. They actually feel safe around people. They're safe around kids. I had probably 24 at my house last year. My kids play in the backyard, and they're very actually very personable birds. I've got both of my poles on like a wedge, so I would put a wedge with a lock on it so vandals couldn't go and lower the house. I put a lock on that, but you can lower the house down, and sometimes birds will stay just like right in there if they're sitting on eggs. But they love being around people, and they are huge. Yeah, they're just incredible, and I don't know what it is about them, why I'm totally hooked on them. You probably would have never guessed that, because I know I'm the no guy.
Don't you have to make one hole bigger? because
What's
they
that?
alwa- Don't you have to make one hole bigger because they always want a sparrow to live with them?
Well, you bring up a good point. So your English house sparrows are an invasive species, and so they can get into any. So they make openings to where starlings can't get in there, but your English house sparrow can get into any opening. So those are public enemy number one. And so I'm doing research right now. So like at my house, I can do, I trap English house sparrows. They're not protected. I trap them on the ground. Obviously, I'm not going to do that in the park. But there are ways to do it. That's the biggest prohibiting factor with me wanting to take, I mean, I'm going, if whether it's this year or next year or 2 years down the road, I'm gonna have to just learn how to manage that, because I can't.
Will they not be in there if the sparrows are in there?
No, the English house sparrows are, and a lot of people don't know this, but they, since they're invasive and their beaks are really, really hard, they'll actually go in there, trap a martin down, and kill them, crack their eggs. Yes, they are very violent birds.
Oh, wow.
And so I've killed about probably 400 English house sparrows, but I trap them. So I've killed or eliminated, I know I'm in video. That's not the most controversial thing I've said on video. Yeah, so your English house sparrows are a problem, and they actually, not just towards purple martins, but towards all of our native birds, because they actually overtake their nesting cavities. Cardinals, even blue jays, you think
Do
of blue
these
jays.
birds, do they migrate or do they stay here?
No, this is the incredible thing. So they actually roost, or they spend the winter months down in Brazil. And so their migration, they go from Brazil all the way up to Edmonton, Canada. But from here to Brazil, their flight path is 5,000 to 7,000 miles one trip. I mean, it's incredible. And so right now the scouts are coming up. So the scouts are the adult birds. So my scouts are probably 3 or 4 days away. And those same birds come back every year, and you build out your colony, and it's really incredible. Yeah. So this is more of an information thing, just to kind of get your guys' gears turning. Like, we have a great park system.
Can't you get Ray to put one in?
I've talked to him about it, but you know what? He feeds his darn English house sparrows. He likes his house sparrows. Yeah, so I've already had those conversations. So it's just, like I said, so I guess I would be curious on, if I were to financially support it, which it's not a major thing, but it's something I'm passionate about for conservation, but also to increase public awareness. I would be curious from the board of, where do I go? Who do I talk to if this is it you guys, is it the council, is it?
One big thing that we all are just learning as we're going through
Yeah.
Turtle Creek is anytime you put permanent structure in flood zone, that's like a huge no-no or a huge cost added thing when it comes to FEMA. So I don't know how those would or wouldn't go, like as far as putting a fence is like a no-go. Obviously you know about the bridges over them, the expense tied with that. So that's gonna be like probably one of the big things you have to navigate on Turtle Creek specifically.
I don't think it is, I'll tell you why. So if you go by Kuehl Park in Sioux Falls, they have owl houses, duck houses, all of those things right in the, so you might be right,
Maybe
but.
just because it's a pole and
This
it's
is,
not.
this
It's not a big.
is literally, yeah, so, but no, I think you bring up a very valid point, because I've thought about that.
Yeah,
I've thought about that, but then
you've seen.
I've seen it in
Yeah.
Sioux Falls where, along the whole river there, and I know, it's the Game Fish and Parks that supports some of
Okay.
those projects
Yeah.
with the duck houses and those things.
Mhm.
Good point, though. I'm not trying to, I'm not on council right now, so I gotta wheel back here a little bit.
Well, yeah, so you know, our process, sorry to talk over you, Wendy.
Go ahead.
Let's start. We can take ideas to the city council and just say this is what,
to you.
what our,
I'm
what our.
one voice man, and usually I'm the odd one out,
What,
so.
what we hear and kind of what we think, and then we give it to the city council, and ultimately they decide what they like and don't like, and I would also encourage you to educate city council as much as you can.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea.
Here goes our city council meeting.
Yeah.
You said it has to be by a house, by closer to houses, like how
Yeah,
close would it be
so-
to the houses? I think that would be. If he's gonna pay.
So if you,
If you're in a backyard of some,
yeah, so.
somebody
so-
along the creek
So we
there.
would be on the north side
You'd
of
be
the
on the
creek.
north, okay.
On the north side of the creek.
Okay.
For sure. So there's a couple areas that I'm kind of scoping out. You know, if I can get in, even I think if I'm within 150 feet, you know, from anywhere along that creek bed, but you know where that big body, not big body, where that little pond is, or that overflow
Yeah,
pond is?
yep.
I think somewhere in that area, there's no trees over there, which is good.
Yeah.
Purple Martins don't like tall trees, they like to have room to fly in, so I'm thinking, so it'd be kind of off the beaten path,
Okay.
you know, but, so it wouldn't be on the south side of the
South
creek,
side.
even though those homeowners need to know that that's city property.
They know. They know.
What about where the playground is, Turtle Creek, like right east of there? There's kind of that open area before you
Yes.
actually get to the creek.
That is actually another,
I mean, that's
it's
a
actually
pretty
another very
open
viable area
Yeah.
to the east over there. And with that, you know, that's, you know, so, and I don't know if this is gonna, like, I have an idea, this is something I've been wanting to do. I've been talking to Tim about this, I go up to the bank about twice a week.
The financial, on building this house? or-
Yeah, on this thing, I'm saying, okay.
To get out of over these
I need a
houses,
loan,
yeah.
yes. Yep, the interest rates are a little high right now, so.
The repayment capacity of a bird isn't very good, though.
Yeah. So you know, those are the things I'm thinking about. You don't want it too far off the path, because there's, for some reason I'm passionate about, but also like I have a further idea of, once you get into Purple Martin, once you get a colony established, then you can kind of bring in the public for informational. I think, and like I said, that's something that I would take on. Also, I've talked to Tim Graham, who's another Purple Martin landlord. He would have some interest, and so I have a couple moving parts, so don't bring it to the council yet. And not yet, not until I have a full plan executed. I more just want to get this off of my mind so I can sleep at night. And then the other thing for consideration is we should consider pickleball lights. There's my, with timers, with automatic timers. I know, Craig.
I just know if we keep you here talking, we'll be here all night.
I think I took up my time and about 4 other people's time. I said I'd try to be quick, okay.
Anybody else have any questions or anything for Sean here?
Thank you.
I think it's a good idea, and I
I like it,
think
though.
there's a good spot in the park for it.
I'd like
Yeah.
to talk to you after this, because I wouldn't mind,
I could help you get a colony
yeah, I
established.
would
really
like that,
could.
yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
I'll
Well,
have
thank
to get
you.
your number, I'll get your number.
Thank you for the information
I'm gonna stay
and,
around too.
and ideas here, Sean. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments out there? Looks like no. Very good. So we'll move on to reports. Second bullet point 4 here, updates from the council staff and members on non-agenda items here.
All I have just on my report on non-agenda is that, let you guys know, we got our first advertising for a banner out Swenson Park. Sunshine Foods filled out an agreement, so I contacted Checkered Graphics. They're here locally in town, and that's why I got the original price quote as far as how much they cost. So they have sent me their logo. I've sent that on Checkered Graphics to come up with a proof, and so I'll be working with them to get something printed up there. We do have it advertised, the agreement on the city's website. It's under the Park and Rec Board, and it's under news and announcements. It's called advertising opportunities. And we did have the chamber send it out to their members, so that's how I think the Sunshine came across it. If you have any other ideas of how we can get it out, because I know not every business in town is a chamber member or whatnot, so figuring out a way to get it out there.
You know
I
what?
really think once you get one up there, people start asking about, you know,
I agree.
hey, how do I get my sign up there?
I wonder if we put a sign out at the park.
That's
That
what I
says,
was
you know,
Yeah, to.
advertising available or something.
Yeah, call
and
this
call
number.
the- We could do
And
that.
Do a banner, you know,
Yeah, because the
whatever,
price of
this-
the banners weren't terribly
Yeah, do a
expensive. We could do a
banner for-
smaller one to say, you know.
Call
you
if
know,
you're interested, or, and we can
Okay.
put
Yeah, I
maybe
think it'd be
the, I don't know if
good
we
on
want to put the
that, so.
terms on it, or just have them call or whatever.
Right.
Can we get a City of Hartford thank you card for something like that too? Keep the sunshine?
Yeah, we
have
can.
City of Hartford, and we could all sign it, or I could, or whatever, it doesn't matter, but I think that'd be great.
Yep. Yeah, why don't you, I'll just grab them before we leave tonight and have you guys sign one, then we'll get one sent out to them. So
Perfect.
So will they, because there's multiple fields out there, will that just be one banner on
It'll
one
just be,
field?
they've only picked for one banner,
Okay.
so I'm sure we'll.
So if we do
I'm
that,
sure
we
we'll put it to
probably
one of
want
the
to
ones you can
have,
see from the road.
we probably want to have that on one of those, hey, if you want to advertise, call this number on each, a banner on each field, or one in a central place.
I would think if you put
On the
one like
concession.
close to where the concession stand, where
Yeah,
people see it as
one
they're
in a
going
central
into the
place.
fields.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah,
yep,
I
that
would
would
think
work too.
versus having to
Yeah.
spend money on 4 different ones. But
Yeah, I
maybe
think that would be good.
Put, yeah, where they're walking in, I
Mhm.
think that would be a good place for them to catch it,
Yep.
so. Okay. Yeah, and then I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. I did put, since we got a couple of fairly new members, Duncan and Frank, I did put information about our parks. We did our little park tours before this meeting, so I think that kind of helps out a lot. You guys can see what we have, what we don't have, what areas we have, so that's about all I have for non-agenda items, everything else on the agenda.
Very good. We can move to bullet point 5, old business. We start off with Swenson Park on the concession stand update and the review of the RFP. And we, like Teresa said, we did go and tour it, and we talked a little bit while we were out there, but Craig, I'll let you kind of take a lead on this one here.
Yeah, we just got, for plumbing wise, the drinking fountain needs to get installed yet. Got little couple pieces of electrical components you have to finish up, which about a couple hours. Concrete, as soon as the frost comes out completely on that north side, it's still a little wet over there, so but I'm looking toward the end of the week, they'll be forming that up and getting that concrete poured, and then we'll get dirt work done and get seed down. We are planning on opening up all the bathrooms actually, probably about the 1st of April. So we'll see what that week looks like, and we'll keep an eye on the weather. If it looks like it's gonna get bad. Right now, I feel pretty comfortable we can open them up without them freezing. We do have a couple cold days, so we'll just shut the doors and they'll be fine. So we'll be getting them things up and running.
Do we have a general time when we normally open bathrooms, or is that generally when we do it?
It's generally about this time, yeah, at the same time, about the 1st of April. And a lot of it's just weather related too.
Yeah.
You know, nothing worse than opening them up and then find out you got a week of cold snap
Yeah.
come through and have to figure out what you're doing, put heaters in them or whatever, so.
Yeah. Very good. And then I noticed out there they had like the landings were formed, the forms are still on them. Had they recently poured those, or were those?
Those were last fall.
Okay.
We left them up just for protection around them so they wouldn't get chipped up and stuff.
Perfect.
So,
Very good. And then review of the RFP, we didn't have anybody put in for the RFP,
So
right,
not
Teresa?
today, you know, we advertised it for another month. We did not have anybody submit an RFP to run the concession stand, so we may have to look at going down the road of offering it, like we talked about at our last meeting, to the various school organizations or the after prom booster club or whatnot. I did talk with the Department of Revenue and the Department of Health as far as what regulations, you know, I said, well, here's what we're thinking about doing, you know. We're gonna have these nonprofits come in, some of them. So let's start with Department of Revenue. So basically, it is, their biggest concern is how we're gonna collect sales tax on it and how we're gonna pay that in. If you have each of these different entities come in for a week, they're probably not going to want to track that, pay it in or whatnot. He says, in the long run, it'd probably be best maybe if the city buys the supplies, basically, tracks what's sold and then pays the tax in on that, and that of course just comes out of the profit, you know, and then, you know, we take our expense out of, our cost and expense out of what they sold, and then that profit could go to whatever entity's working it that week. So that would be all okay for the Department of Revenue, because another caveat with that is, not, even though, you know, West Central Booster Club may be set up one way as a 501c3. After prom may not be set up, maybe 501c4. And only certain groups qualify as nonprofits and don't have to pay taxes. And even at that, nonprofits can only work for 3 consecutive days in a row. There was a lot of rules and regulations. They said
Okay.
your best bet, and the way most cities do it, is put it under kind of the city's umbrella and go down that route, and the city paying the taxes, which we could probably do. Kind of the same way with the Department of Health. They basically stated that, if you probably, instead of having each organization buy their own stuff, getting their own food service license, whatnot to work for, put it under the city's umbrella. Like if we buy the products, we take, whatever's made that week, we'd have to count inventory when they begin. At the end, whatever they make, take our expense out of that and the sales tax, and then they would, get the profits off of that. With the Department of Health, there's different stipulations of whether you need a food service, whether you gotta be licensed or not. Cities are exempt from licensing if they do not make any food, like we can't make any burgers. Basically, we'd have to stay to prepackaged stuff like chips, candy bars. Popcorn's okay, so we can get a pop machine. Hot dogs on rollers are okay, we can do that. We cannot put chili on them, we cannot put cheese on them. Anything in a crock pot is a no, basically.
What about those nacho, like the cheese machines?
Yeah.
It's
where
the
you get
same thing with
bag?
the cheese,
Yeah.
he says. I mean, you can do them if you get a food service
Yeah.
license, then you'd have to get that. You'd be subject to inspections per year with the Department of Health.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, basically we'd be exempt, and if we keep it strictly to,
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs
packaged
and-
item. Hot
Hot
dogs, popcorn.
Pizza Ranch, does that count, or is
What?
that exempt? Would like Pizza Ranch be exempt?
delivered, or Pizza Ranch?
That's gonna fall under them, and,
Okay, so,
well, I don't know if they're selling it out of our
Yeah.
thing here,
'Cause the school-
Anything
the
you
school-
heat up, and
But
the
they also
the only
do- they
exception
have
they're
to
doing
have a
is
license,
hot
they
dogs,
can do-
basically, he told me.
They can
Okay.
do walking
Cheese,
tacos.
Anything
yeah.
you heat up in a crock pot or you gotta warm up, the only exemption is gonna be the hot dogs on the rollers, he says.
Would you be able to find out if we could, if we worked with Pizza Ranch, if they delivered pizza out there and we just,
Yep, I
We
can
just
find that out.
handed
for
it
sure.
out.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
because you
told
could
the
do
same
pizza and hot
gentleman.
dogs.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
just snacks.
and for
and then they
anybody,
have those warming bags or
Yeah.
whatever that they can leave with.
yep. And for anybody like watching or interested, it is set up with stainless steel countertops, a double sink that's code compliant, and a mop sink that's code compliant,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
if we are available, if somebody wanted to, get the license, the facility is ready for it.
Right,
Correct.
yeah. And we would need that even with prepackaged, we still would have, because people still handling the food need to wash their hands, and even your tongs to get the hot dogs out, you said you'd have to wash that in the sanitizing sink and whatnot, so we had to have those 2 sinks, which we got, like I said, we're
Okay.
good. We got the mop sink, which is good to clean the facility. So it sounded like we were all compliant on that Department of Health side
Very good.
with that.
Yeah, what about like, so probably outside the rules, and I know like Rely Bank does, brats and burgers at the football games, if somebody came in and did that, and they give them away for free, that probably would then.
So I
have
think
to
that's
be-
not gonna fall on around, it's just what's getting sold out of the concession stand that's gonna be under the city's umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah, if you got your Joe Schmo that wants to come, well, like, he said, you can have food trucks come out, but that, they get to have their own license, their own whatnot, and it's coming on your land, but what we're selling out of the concession stand would have to follow those regulations,
Very
yeah.
good.
But, it says if you wanna have a food truck come in and sell out of there, that would work under their own license, 'cause every food truck has to have their own license, so.
All right.
So with that being said, if we go down that route and don't get anybody, I did put together kind of a draft letter to send to organizations. I did get a list from the school of kind of like all the school organizations and contact. A contact for the booster, a contact for after prom, and a contact for the PTA. The school gave me all those names. So I guess looking for input on the letter, is it something we want to go down this road and send that out to them?
It's our only option.
It is, I mean, this
If nobody's,
point,
yeah, if nobody's applied for,
as of,
yeah.
to date, I don't have anybody, we moved. I think the easiest way, kind of like we talked, to block it out at least a week at a time. So if you want to work, you have to work this week, because I don't want to do it day to day, because then city staff is going to have to go count an inventory every single day, you know, whatnot. It'd be easier to kind of at the beginning of the week, let them come in. We need a cash register so they can keep track of what they all sold, and then at the end of the week, we can do a tally, and then we can basically find out how much, you know, was sold during that time, pay the taxes out of it, and take our expense out of those items, and then give them the profit.
Would, as the city, would we want to set up maybe an ATM out there? If this is gonna be like a cash, I would imagine a cash concessions.
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to make it a cash concession, and when I talked to the Department of Revenue, he says what you want to do is, you'd want to sell your hot dog for $1. You know, don't put $1 plus tax on it, so.
You back out.
We
the
back out
tax.
the tax when we pay it, we just take that out, and that's what we do with our
Dollar
concessions at the pool, too, right now, we back out the tax. You know, keep it all even numbers, because nobody's, gonna walk around, you're not gonna want to keep much change there and have
Yeah.
people walk around with the change, keep it simple,
Is the pool cash only?
yeah.
It'd be similar then.
For the concessions
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, we take checks for season passes.
I would say from a cleanup perspective, let's think about what we want to be serving. I mean, for a guy that works at the Shields Iceplex, believe me.
It all gets spilled, right?
Yeah.
oh, It's a
At
night.
least that's outside there.
Ants can only clean so much. so.
There's more to life than driving a Zamboni. It's called cleaning, sweeping, I mean, it's an absolute, popcorn's the worst. I mean, someone's got to clean all that mess up. I think it's worth considering what we should be serving, keep it simple. I don't know.
Very good.
Yeah, so I guess how would you guys like to
What do they,
proceed?
what do they serve at the pool? What do they,
They just have candy.
Pool
Yes,
basically
the
just-
pool's not appropriate for a sports facility.
Candy bars,
yeah.
I'd say
chips,
don't have
candy.
Any
The only,
dime candy or nickel candy or anything like that, 'cause it's just too many wrappers.
Right,
Yeah.
just go do candy bars and,
Yeah, I say do
popcorn
candy
wouldn't
bars,
be terrible
chips.
because it's outside.
Yeah.
The birds
That's
can
true,
eat
the
it.
birds
Right.
take
So
it.
out inside
The,
popcorn's a mess, but outside it, if they
Probably not.
spill it, birds
Purple
will eat
Martins
it.
could
The
get it.
purple
Yeah.
martins will come and eat it.
We need to feed the purple martins.
Popcorn,
Yeah,
sunflower
there you go,
seeds.
there you go.
Put a birdhouse out there and they can eat all of the popcorn.
That's true.
sounds like we
So,
would have,
sorry.
we would have to get some things in order to get this started, like a cash register, popcorn
And-
machine,
Hot dog roller,
hot dog
popcorn
roller.
machine.
And we kind of
packers.
need to set the menu, right?
Yeah.
If we're gonna be stocking it,
How-
and whether we wanna
Could you
be.
do like that SDSU ice cream if they have the freezer?
You can do, so, like ice cream, you can do like prepackaged, like ice cream
Yeah.
bars.
Or like the SDSU comes in those little containers.
As long as it's all
Yeah,
prepackaged,
for-
you you can't do scoop ice cream.
Right.
He did
Yeah.
say
It's
about that, and
just,
cones
yeah,
and
it's just in the
whatnot.
little
It's gotta
cups.
be in a, it's
So
gotta be
Yeah, that'd be a good
packaged.
idea.
Yeah, because especially in the summer
Summer,
and they've got
right.
they'll have the freezer.
Yeah,
out
so we
there.
did talk about ice cream, that we just, you can't like have scoop ice cream and
Yeah.
like cones and whatnot, but you can do prepackaged, like the bars and get the little,
Oh,
self-contained
those
cups.
freezer pops. You can
Freezies,
do
yep.
those are big.
Yeah.
Those are very big hits at the
baseball
pool. Yeah.
in the summer.
Who would manage the inventory and is that something that
It's
the
gonna have to
city-
come out of our office, probably, I would
Yeah.
probably send Jenny out to manage that, she'll love that, but she would have, be the only one who probably have time to do that.
Right.
And that's why I only wanna do it once a week,
Right,
every
yeah.
day, it would get to
It'd
be a
be, it'd be a lot
lot.
of maintenance.
It would get a lot.
Administrative
Yeah.
work, yeah.
Definitely.
So do we think we need to set a menu now on what we would offer, or, anybody wanna go down that road unless an RFP comes and wants to take it all?
Or do you want me to try to put together, can probably talk to our
Maybe-
pool manager,
maybe
see what we do at the
let's
pool.
Give it a little bit more time.
I would say give a little bit more
Why don't we
time.
come back with a list and then-
Like I say, why don't I talk to Kuehl and see kind of what we do there, I'll come back
Yeah.
with a list, I
Yeah.
can check into that
Yeah.
pizza and whatnot, and
Yeah.
we can work on the menu and that maybe at our next meeting.
Yep, that sounds good.
I guess on the tour, I was a bit surprised that the school games are gonna start being out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
School softball.
April 7th, I think, is their first
Uh-huh.
meeting, but that is true, something to think about. I mean, they are gonna start playing out there here in April. There's not tons of games scheduled, but
Can we-
May, June, July are gonna be your busy months.
Yeah, can we get the items purchased or get that in the works? I don't know how long it takes to get that, because then we can have it maybe spun up by June, May, June. I mean, it's gonna take some time to get all that.
Right,
I know most of the stuff, when I looked into it, like the popcorn maker and that stuff, freezer, if you go with a commercial type one,
Mhm.
most of that stuff within a week or 2 weeks would be shipped out.
Shipping it, okay.
Yeah, it's been, things have been getting a
Pretty
lot
good
quicker.
turn, okay.
Yeah, yeah, the equipment,
We
I think
can
we
maybe
get.
check with somebody at After Prom who they get their popcorn supplies from or something. I don't know where they,
I
but
don't
they have
either.
like a big, they have the big thing of it and the oil and all that. So, yeah.
For the pool, we get, really, we've gotten a Sam's membership, that just seems to be the cheapest,
The
so we
cheapest,
can get it around. Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to get through Sunshine, but Sunshine started where they couldn't even get a lot of the stuff that
Right.
you'd like to sell, so
That
we
makes
have,
sense.
the city's got a Sam's
Sam's
membership.
probably even got popcorn.
Well, they do,
They
the
do.
big
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, so you probably just about get it all at Sam's.
Probably could, yeah. I can check into a lot of that, can
And
we
you-
come up with a sample list?
You thought, and we didn't know about the microwave because of the expense, just, we're kind of nickeling and diming things, but I think the only thing After Prom did in the microwave was pretzels, but we can't offer cheese.
Right.
So I don't know if
No
people.
pretzels,
I don't-
without cheese.
Yeah, I don't know
Unless-
if people would want them
That'd be a
without
travesty.
cheese or not.
Unless
That'd
we
be
found
worth
like
it.
maybe
You could do
prepackaged cheese.
you could do the
That
cinnamon and
doesn't-
sugar, like you could do that where you just spray
I
them
think we
with-
want to keep our menu fairly
Yeah.
simple
Mhm.
and short,
Yeah.
do a different,
Yeah.
less
just
inventory
remember that.
items
Yeah.
to count out
Yeah.
and to worry about pricing
I
and
think so,
stuff. So I
too.
think if we can keep it to popcorn, hot dogs, chips, candy
Some-
bars,
sunflower seeds.
some ice cream,
Yeah.
sunflower seeds, oh yeah, I'm all
Oh.
doing sunflower seeds. And we can kind of keep it a list to that.
Is this to break even or is this to bolster our city coffers?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can work on putting a list together and then propose prices and then costs, so you guys can kind of see the difference too, of what we're doing. So I'll have that ready for the next meeting, so, okay.
All right, and then the next bulletin would be maintenance fee for the field usage of the city fields and parks for sporting events. And as a reminder from last meeting, we decided we're probably too late into the process to implement something for the 2025 calendar year, but should still be on the forefront, so we have a decision made up for the 26 year on what to do, how to do it. One of the biggest holdouts we had was it seems like all the sports teams that use our facilities were okay, on board with paying to keep maintenance, except for the Dakota Alliance soccer teams. And to be fair, or to be clear, they don't do any games out here, it's just our community teams use our fields for practices. So that's gonna be one of the bigger, I would say, differences between other sports teams that are using them for games and not just practices, but nonetheless, we do stripe the soccer fields, we do mold the soccer fields, and we do water the soccer fields, so it's all still part of it.
Yeah, there's maintenance with those bills that go with that. Like I said, I talked to that gentleman with Dakota Alliance, and he said they'd be open to talk about it, but he did point out too that they don't do it anyplace else, so it would all depend on what we would come up with and what we would ask, and he'd have to take it to his board to see. One thing I thought of, so as we start thinking about this year and talking about it, is it maybe something that we would want to have one meeting where we would call each, have the organizations send a representative, and that way, we get their input, what they'd be willing to do or not willing to do, and we're talking about with all the organizations at once versus each
Individually.
individual one, because we could do May, June, or, pick a month, whatever, and, put an invite out to that organization, saying, can you send a representative? We will talk about the maintenance fee and maybe just have a discussion with them.
Because the other thing that came up, well, it was in when we were doing that part, or the ISG, whatever, when that.
Oh, park plan?
Yeah, the park plan. It came up in that the city kind of doesn't have, they don't really have direct talks or communication with any of these groups anymore, because we don't really have the sports and rec committee, it's really us. So
Complex, yeah.
that probably falls on us, is what they were thinking, that we really probably should have probably a meet every so often
Right.
to get them in here. And also, there was feedback that, I think it must have been baseball, somebody had a tournament and they just heard rumors that the fees that they charged were really high. But we should probably get something if they're doing a tournament out there, some kind of a fee or something,
And the council has approved, if whether it's baseball or softball, there is a form that they're supposed to, a tournament form to pay the city for tournaments.
Okay.
And that's
It's not very much.
Would it be something that we could collect instead of going through like Dakota Alliance? Would it be something that we could go, like each team would pay a fee per team? And if you don't have to pay if you're a team, but if you do pay the fees, you get first choice of fields, and stuff like that. And if you don't pay, then you wait till everybody else got their fields picked, then you
Oh,
get
that
things
might
open
be
up
a
to
good
you.
idea.
Instead of going through the organization, just go through the team, because we know which teams everyone signed up for registration for fields. So she could look and say, well, I'm sorry, you guys have to, there's a fee if you want to have first preferences or something.
I was just thinking though, the soccer, like when we talked to Tim with soccer, it's Dakota Alliance to collect those fees, though, I mean, the
But we wouldn't
teams
collect
don't.
through the Dakota Alliance, we'd charge the team themselves for,
But I'm saying, they wouldn't have any money because
Yeah, you just have
all
to
their money's
ask the
going to
coach.
Dakota Alliance.
Ask the coach, and
Yeah,
then,
you go to
and
the
then she
coach.
would go to all the parents and say, hey, if we want first
You'd have to go
preference,
to
it's
the
$5
parents,
a
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
And you pay the
If you want to
instructor.
practice here versus going into Sioux Falls, it's gonna
Yeah.
cost you, yeah,
Yeah.
you
might
got
be something to
parents.
think about or kick around.
But that, like I said, may be a good discussion to have with everybody.
Yeah, I think, or at least bring it up, yeah.
Will you guys be thinking about maybe what month you want to do that, or, and then we can make, we can decide, and then we can get, make sure we can make contact, we can give them plenty of time to get a rep here.
And then we can get their feedback too on actually using the facilities, what their if they have issues, if they have
Right.
wants or requests,
Yeah,
because they're
exactly.
the ones that are actually using them.
Yeah, like I
So
said,
that
it'd
would
be
be a good-
good time to make that contact with them, to say
Yeah.
pros, cons, what do
Right.
you,
Or
what do you see you need, what do you,
Yeah, exactly.
how can we help?
So Teresa, you said if there's a baseball tournament in June and they want to reserve our fields, then they fill out a form.
They're supposed to fill out a tournament request
Right.
form and
And
pay
what,
the city.
what are we charging to,
Like $100.
I want to say $100 for like the tournament.
And have they been doing that?
No,
Yeah.
I think we've only had one.
I think we've had one since we implemented it like 4 years ago.
So then we could go over that with them too. and,
Have we hosted-
say-
I send it to the softball association
I don't
every
think
year.
they've had it.
so each
Okay.
team pays on extra, when you say $100, like.
For the
Per
tournament.
tournament.
That's what it costs
Whoever's
for the
hosting the
tournament.
tournament, they pay that. Like,
Right,
The organization that's
right,
putting it on, because they're
Yeah.
collecting gate fees as you come in, they're making a lot of money, it's like $5 a person per day, and
oh, wow.
For baseball?
Oh, yeah.
Softball, yeah.
Softball, yeah.
I imagine a lot of that goes to the umpires.
If you have
Expenses,
eight umps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to set
It was on
something up.
$100 is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
Right.
we do keep in mind that these clubs aren't getting rich, they don't have huge bank accounts
Yeah.
off of these tournaments either, it might help them cover the expense of one tournament they go to, maybe, so.
Do we want to, for the meeting with them, does it make sense? So right now, I mean, we're kind of late in the game for, I think, unless we did it right away, but, or do we wait until like July, until things get kind of rolling, where they've been using the facilities and can give us feedback? Or what do you think would be a good month to do it?
I'm open for ideas. I think, you know, most of these organizations would have been using the facilities for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So it's not like an extra month of using them really changes their opinions. But I'm fine with giving a couple, 3 months and then trying to collect everybody, because first it's gonna be kind of tough to run down who is everybody, especially when we talk about Dakota
Yeah.
Lions, because it's not like we would have to ask Dakota Lions, who's your coach? How many Hartford teams do you have? Who are all the coaches on those Hartford teams? Are they gonna give that information to us or not?
Our Hartford contact with Dakota Alliance has been Tim Goring.
Okay,
He's the one who kind of organizes the Hartford teams
Oh,
here.
perfect.
He's the one who we've been meeting with, and we met with each group, and he's been the one in the past that we've,
Oh,
it's
great.
been our contact with, so he'd probably be our contact with,
Yeah.
yeah.
perfect.
to that.
But would it make sense then to have a meeting sooner rather than later then, and then maybe have a follow-up meeting in the fall when the sports out there are kind of wrapped up? Looking forward to the next year, so then we can bring up the fees, and, because maybe then, by then we'll have it set and we
Yeah.
can get their buy-in on that, so maybe have a meeting pretty soon and then have another one in the fall.
Yeah.
Does that have to be a public meeting, or? can-
Well, this is a public meeting, so it will be a
So
public.
we'd have
So
to
just
come to
during-
that.
we would invite him to one of
I
these
think
meetings.
just have a rep from each group come at one
Yeah.
time, right? And make it, try to
I
make
think
it as
that's
easy as
a good idea
possible.
to have them all together.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I would
everybody's on the
too.
same page.
I would
with-
too, then they're all getting the same
They
information.
all get the same information.
Does that
yeah.
include the schools, or how's that arranged with them?
Yep,
using
I think we should
fields?
invite the athletic director with the school, because they utilize their fields, so it'd be school, baseball, softball, soccer,
Soccer.
flag football,
Mhm.
all of our
And West
contacts.
Central Baseball, are they gonna be using it, West Central Baseball?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
both
Yep.
baseball associations.
Or, yeah, the
Yeah.
baseball.
Do you know if the kids signed up for flag football yet?
I don't know anything about flag football, to be honest. Not in that world yet, but I would imagine that, because that's more fall time, right? That should be.
The flag football's
Early
usually in the
summer.
fall, yeah.
But they usually sign up for that in the spring,
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
think that.
so
Yeah.
we can get in front of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, next meeting, April, May,
I'm good to try to get people here in April, if we think that's a realistic timeline, give them a month and round them up.
Well, yeah, we can certainly, maybe let's throw it out there, and if we get a majority of them to come, if not, then maybe we'll have to wait a month or
Yeah.
something, but,
If we need to push, we
yeah.
can.
Yeah, I think we should probably push.
I guess when I contact them, because we got contacts for the, head of each organization, maybe I'll throw out both dates and see what we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
let's
Yeah,
do
good
right
idea.
now. Okay. I can do that.
Do we know when the May meeting's gonna be?
It's always the fourth Monday.
Was
Of the
that gonna
month.
fall Memorial Day?
Oh, it might, because I was thinking we had a meeting we need to change here.
The one in May,
Let me look here.
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
When's April
26th.
meeting?
Yep,
Memorial
so
Day.
that one we will, yep.
April meeting's gonna be the 28th. Won't be back yet.
Yeah, so we either have to move that. 27th ain't gonna work. Yeah, that's a meeting that we might need to move. The 20, wouldn't be able to move it to the Tuesday, the 27th, because that'd be planning and zoning.
Could we do it the week before, the 19th?
Yep, because Mondays are pretty, before the week after.
That softball versus Vermillion, so softball people wouldn't be able to be here on the 19th.
About like June 2nd, the following Monday.
Let's see. Yeah, no activities, or no
The
softball.
only trouble with kind of when we get into May, June, July, there's gonna be games going on, and you're gonna miss it, so
Yeah,
this may be something we either try for April,
I
or we
wonder.
wait till the fall.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because some association's gonna
And
have
April-
something going on with.
And April 28th softball conference, so there's a game on the 28th also,
Yeah, so
so,
this may be a conversation then for yeah, after, is July when baseball?
But if we get
has
the
it?
AD person, the school AD, I guess they could communicate that to softball people, I guess, but.
Well, they're different organizations.
Yeah,
The
that's-
school has their softball, and then there's the Hartford Softball Association, so they're not connected.
Maybe we wait
The
till
school,
August.
the school sanctioned softball.
Yes, school softball.
For high school
Correct.
softball.
Oh.
But the Hartford Softball Association has like younger kids.
Oh,
that
God, yeah.
And
that's
summer,
different.
sorry.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the same page now.
And, yeah, I think we just shoot for April, throw it out there.
Yeah.
Say we appreciate
April,
everybody
and if
coming.
not that, maybe we'll
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
August, like you said, or
Yeah.
some, maybe even after. Well, I'll throw an email out to them and see if they can do April, if can't, then we'll look at this fall, so, okay. That's all good?
All right, we can, everybody good with that? Ready to
Yep.
move on? Let's move on to the city park area plan and master plan update. So in our handouts here, there's a kind of a master plan that we got from the engineering company. And it shows a general kind of proposed layout with our inputs and community input on what we wanted added to the community, to the parks, et cetera. And it shows the way for putting in the pool, 2 to 5-year-old playground equipment, more pickleball courts, maybe more parking, more driving, relocation of basketball courts, and all sorts of stuff there. So it's really, really helpful to have, kind of a plan, an idea to shoot forward with. And I would encourage everybody to take a look at that.
When are we gonna get feedback from them, from the master plan stuff?
I have
Do you
not
know?
got their 60% plan yet. They're supposed to have it done at the end of this month, so.
Oh, okay.
So it should be a 60%
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
what-
it should be seen a draft.
What's the 60% plan?
Basically, just kind of what they put together as far as information and, what they're, have all looked at, kind of a 60% completion of the plan, with that. For this layout, it was given to council, it's given, P&D's looking at it tomorrow night. So this is a draft, though, so it is for your guys' to look at, give your input, if you, and I don't need your input tonight, but, if you look it over and think of something or an ideal or just want to see something change, let us know so then we can convey that to ISG. Same thing with, in there is, they're working on vision statements. So there's a short version and a long version of it. If you have any input on that, with the wording, you like, don't like, or whatnot, read them over, think about it some, or whatnot, and any suggestions, comments, or changes, just email me and let me know, and we'll get that to ISG.
So that meeting, it was really interesting. It was very interactive where they had us basically put pros and cons, and we had, what do you think's wrong, what do you think we need, what do you think our strengths are, our weaknesses, our risks, blah, blah, blah. And we had all them up there and we kind of ranked them from which ones we thought were most important. And then they were gonna take all that information and then use that to kind of put together this
Work
plan.
into this plan.
And then the same with the vision statement, kind of what's important to us and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where that derived from. But it was really good. I thought the meeting,
Yeah,
they
that was
did a
good.
really good job.
So
Frank and
did
Kandi were there?
this draft, did they have this draft prepared and then they took input, or this came out of that
No,
input?
the draft is gonna come out of what was talked about
Right.
at that.
For example, like, and another thing that we did bring up at that meeting too, was the little kid playground is a pretty high, we should kind of boost it up, because
Yeah.
it seems like there's a big need for that.
Mhm.
And so that was one of the things that came out of it. But what they do is they go and go, oh, Turtle Creek, we could use, maybe add another slide, or, in this one, maybe do this, or in this area, maybe you have another park, or something, just looking at what we have available and where we could put parks or different things we can put in those parks. So, and in the whole city. in the whole-
Right, yeah.
Not just,
Yeah, I mean,
not
this is just this part,
It's
but I
the-
mean,
yeah.
they're gonna look at the whole.
improvements for the whole city, and the trails and all that kind of stuff.
Can I speak on this topic, please?
Yeah.
Right? Is this how I do this, Teresa?
You are, raise your hand. Then let Tim call you.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know, to be honest, if that was allowed or if that was.
Oh, it is, yeah,
like,
I can
okay.
speak on.
Then, yeah.
If you allow him. no.
Come on down.
It's all in your control.
Is it really?
Yeah, the chairman doesn't.
Yeah, what is
We're
the
past our
parliamentary
public input.
procedure on that?
So am I allowed?
I have the power.
Craig, I know.
Yeah, don't ask Craig.
So no, I was at part of that meeting, and it was
Yeah.
really informative. And I always go back to, like, I look at Hartford, and I know we've, in the community, the whole big plan, what's the big plan, the community?
That community plan we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you look at and you don't have to look very far, but there's a lot of young families in this town, it's kind of crazy. Like, young families, young kids dominate this town, so Duncan, I'm sorry, you're kind of the odd one out here, okay?
Actually, not statistically.
Really, I thought statistically,
The part of the population that's growing is the 50 and over.
is it
Like I say,
really?
it's kind
I
of been
stand
older.
corrected.
We've got quite a bit of.
Okay, well, if you go to the
Way to
park
go,
after a school day, if you go to the park after a school day after 3:30, it seems like this town is owned by a bunch of young people. But I like we talked about that a younger kid part.
Yes.
My wife's brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that in depth, but.
We also
Love-
discussed putting more on the developers to give lands for
Yes,
parks
were
instead
you,
of.
yes, were you at that, you were at that
Yep,
meeting too,
yep,
right?
Brandon,
Yeah,
Kandi
yeah, that's
were at that
another
meeting.
thing that we talked about, but
Well, and the young playground equipment, it kind of goes to young families and grandparents.
Right.
yes.
So you kind of
know.
hit, I know, I was
Yeah.
thinking of you, you know,
Yep.
because you hit both of
Both
those
have mobility
areas.
issues.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it benefits both sides of
absolutely.
For
the
me,
age groups.
personally, the young playground equipment is
Yeah.
probably number one on my list.
Me too.
Even though,
And it's attainable.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it's
it's-
not, it's a smaller
I-
area. and-
Yeah, I don't know how much, I mean, I don't know what the school did with that rubberized floor, I'm sure that is the biggest expense.
Yeah.
And it's awesome, and it's very safe. and
Yeah.
That's awesome, I don't know if that would be in our budget, but, you know, by the time it's built, my kids will be too big for it.
Right.
And I realize that, but I still see the need.
Absolutely.
Because I run around the park like this, you know,
Yeah.
like, ready to catch my kids as they fall out of and they haven't, you know, but, and most kids don't, but the opportunity is there, and there's an inherent danger, but you're not gonna have your 2-3-year-old kid not go to the park, right? That's what it's for, so.
Yeah, I agree with that. They've got some really cool turf too. I know Spearfish has a whole bunch of parks that have
Yes.
that
Yeah.
turf under it. It's amazing. It stays really clean. It seems, every time
Yep.
we go there, it just seems clean.
And anybody who has time or is interested in saying, how could we make this work? If you go to, the park right next to the Butterfly House, in Sioux Falls.
Oh, Sertoma.
Sertoma Park,
Park.
yes, they have their big shade structure, and then they have, I think, 5 different, like, micro parks, and they're
Yeah.
all like a confined, area with, their base material and one deal, and each one is targeted at a different age group, and it's really fun, and it allows your kids to get to a comfortable one and maybe even push their abilities a little bit, kind of bounce back and forth, so that, I'm not saying is what we need, but that is really awesome, and if you're looking for inspiration or ideas of what it could look like for just a separate, smaller structure, that's a great place to look. So that's my tangent on playground equipment
Yeah,
for young
but
kids.
I do, I think it probably needs to be bumped up on our list, because it does seem like it's important to a lot of
Very
people.
good. And Craig, I mean, you would probably know better than anybody, do you know what a playground equipment would cost, like one, I mean,
For that age group, you're probably looking at between 30 to 40,000.
okay. I kind of was figuring
The
like
turf would
60
probably
or
be
less,
another-
but.
The turf would probably be another 10,000 maybe, I'd
Yep,
say.
yep. And what would you rather see? Would you rather see a turf, or would you rather see a concrete pole with the rubberized, put in like what the school did?
I think what the schools has is real nice.
Yep.
I think it's easier to maintain and it stays in place and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it warms up very fast, right? So
Yeah.
it gets snow and ice off probably the
It'd be
fastest.
interesting
but-
to see in the summertime how hot it is if kids can stand to walk on it
Mhm.
barefoot or.
Yeah.
Because
That's flat.
that's a major consideration, right? Because school isn't in the summer, and this is gonna be mostly just in the summer, so.
So it's something to check out
Consider.
with summer when it's hot out.
We also do have, an added luxury the school doesn't have with all the tree cover
Yeah,
and
we
the
do a
shade.
lot of shade
so
in there,
that
quite a bit of
helps.
shade, so.
Okay. So we're kind of getting all the way off track on a 10-year plans here now, but that is kind of rolls in with park area plan and master plan. Last meeting, I encouraged everybody to look at this list and add to it as you see fit and maybe reorganize. Does anybody have any other things they would like to see moved up? You know, we've identified playground equipment kind of being moved up higher.
So when we visited the park, Swenson Park, I think we need a new sign out there. It's getting pretty.
Swenson Park signage?
Yeah, that
Okay.
wooden sign is just getting kind of ragged, so we
Yeah.
thought maybe we needed to replace that sign. There's no electricity out there, so it just needs to be a standalone sign. But that kind of came up, it's just looking ragged, and especially if we're having more people come out there.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing we talked about out there was where we're gonna put the playground equipment, either putting a higher up fence or putting some kind of an awning over the equipment so they don't get, because they can get home runs hit out where we're
Yeah.
gonna put that.
Do you, Craig, think like a good shade structure would be enough protection for that? If we were
Yeah,
able to
they
put a
do
shade
make,
structure over it?
like, if you go down by the soccer fields there in Sioux Falls, they do have those ones you can crank up and just put them up, but you can do more of a permanent one.
Mhm.
I mean, Sioux Valley would come there and hang it for us, if, you know, to get it up high enough, set some posts in.
Yeah,
So, I mean, a lot of that just matter of what size, you know, if you're gonna go like an inch by inch or 2 inch by 2 inch or something like that, how heavy the material you wanna go with. It's not like it's gonna, like a batting cage where it's gonna get hit
Mhm.
over and over and over and over again. So it'll
Yep.
probably last quite a while.
so would you be more apt towards putting just a net or like the shade thing? If you had to go one way or the other?
The shade's gonna cost you quite a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think the net would be adequate for now, but like I said, don't have any shade out there, so
Mhm.
kids are gonna be out there, you know, I don't know how long are they gonna play, are they gonna watch their brothers play, sisters
Yeah.
play, or are they gonna be sitting out there playing in the heat, you know?
Yeah.
Mom and dad didn't be out there, you know? So it might be something maybe, put the netting up for now and then look at, see what it's gonna cost, you know,
Okay.
because I think for priority, are you gonna, you
My
wanna
con-
get more shade by the ball fields or have it at the playground?
My
What do you-
concern is if you put shade out there, you're gonna have people pulling their chairs out there and sitting in the shade and taking up the playground.
Yeah.
That's true.
It almost seems like we go the lesser route, a net or whatever, and then, depending on how much it gets used, and if that doesn't solve the problem, then go for the shade structure or something more, you know. Would be my thought.
A lot of it too is gonna, like I said, once we get the layout. So that's one thing we should really talk about, is that something, I know we're like talking about the budget items now. Are we just, do we need to move ahead with the parking lot? We should, if we're gonna do that, we should go to the council and say, we wanna have engineers come out and design this and get this ready to go out for bid and see if we're gonna do it. Because we're already running the summer. We don't meet again for another month. We should try to go in front of the council with some of these items and say, we'd like to move ahead with these now and get kind of hard numbers on them all to get a president, you know, to go back to the council with, so.
Yeah. So as far as like the,
And so
like having an engineer come out for the parking lot?
yeah, so we should talk to the council about, you know, getting the engineers involved at these, get designs and get ready to go out for bid for getting the parking lot done, because it's over our bid limit, we have to do it.
So looking at this year's budget
The
items.
25.
Mhm.
Maybe let's talk about this year's budget items and see what we need to start working on, and then we'll talk about the future ones.
So we need to, so, yes, okay, so that was just kind of an estimate, and then we gotta actually send it out and see what the actual costs are.
Yeah, this is just what the
We have to-
engineers do together, so
Yeah.
that-
Put
so
it
how
out
you
for
wanna
bids, do
have it
bids.
designed,
Mhm.
have it get put together as a bid package, and then actually, then move ahead, you know, go ahead with it. So you're gonna wanna go to the council sooner than later and ask for this money to be released to go out and have design to go for bids with it.
Okay.
And then once you get the bids, then we'll know if we can afford it or not.
Yep.
If it comes in 300, 400,000, it's out of
That's
our.
off the table, kind
Yeah.
of.
So do we need to do anything other than make a motion for
I'm trying to
that to
think of,
happen, or-
some of the stuff like, so like the dog park shade structures, we had 2,500 in there for that. Would you get prices put together, doing it with steel roof and all that stuff, and doing, you know, some decent built ones? With two of them, it's like 2,460 or something like that is what our price came at, and that's, you know, good hard numbers, so we are below budget that. The restrooms, that's gonna be over, so that, we're just gonna have to, if we decide that's what we want to really move ahead with, then I'll go out and get solid numbers, we go out and get quotes from everything and put actual solid numbers together. If that's what we want to move ahead with, you know, if that's what we got budget money for, but I can tell you right now, the 27 is not gonna do it. From what I've got so far for the electrical and plumbing, it's just crazy, just kills you.
For
Okay.
that parking, do you feel like that's a good number, or do we need to do more on that before we can go to council?
I think you're not gonna know a hard number until you get it designed by the engineers and you get a cost estimate.
Do we need approval to go to have them do that then? Is that our next step?
I would almost say you'd go there and ask for the, to get permission to go out and get an engineer and go for bids for the
Yeah, that's
soccer
what we're
fields. I would ask to release some money for the shade structure, or, you know, whatever we think we can get done. Just get those funds released so that you can move ahead with some of these projects.
So I notice on this plan, that bathroom isn't on there, that you're, right? Or
Yeah,
where's
that's,
that?
that was something that they,
Did they take that out of there?
I don't know, I don't think they
Because
knew
it's-
that we were planning.
it would have been
on
right
that.
here.
Yeah.
They might not even know that a
But they're
bathroom's
gonna
being planned.
They're gonna tear it down and put, right?
Well, that's why I'm wondering if we,
Well, yeah, we already approved to put a bathroom over here, so they don't have it in their
oh,
plan.
so it's not in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they didn't, when they put that
So
together,
we're-
they didn't know
okay.
we were looking at doing that.
Okay, so, but you don't think the 27 is gonna be enough?
No,
So
and
we-
I can, like I said, if you want me to go out and just get solid numbers at this point in time and actually go out for, I don't have to bid this project, it's below the bid limit.
Sure.
But I do want to get solid quotes,
Yeah.
come up with the design, the plans, everything like that, and go forward and move
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I think all the things that are a
This-
low bid, we should probably have Craig get some solid quotes on it before,
Yeah.
so we know if there's something we can do or not. And we know what we're looking at before we go to council and ask to release money.
So on line 6, it says, shade structure for playgroup area, was that playground area, I mean, just so I know, was that already like in the bid? Did we already get approval for $10,000 to put over that playground?
Yeah.
That we were just talking about?
Good question.
Yeah, so that's that playground equipment for the West Central.
Okay, so we already have that approved for protection
Well, that's-
and shade then over the.
Yeah, shade structures near playground area.
Okay.
Was that not over it though? That was by it? Because I was thinking something over it
Okay,
to
gotcha.
protect, but if we have the net then, or the fencing,
Yeah.
then that we wouldn't have that.
Or, yeah, or could this be, you know,
This makes
two
it-
birds, one stone type of deal here?
Because this makes it, yeah, or could, I thought this was for somewhere by it, so parents could sit out there by there, but maybe that's not what we meant.
Yeah, it's up to you guys to decide, so, yeah, I think you guys are gonna figure out what exactly you wanna do, so Craig can go get some quotes, some hard numbers, and then we know if we're gonna be within budget or not, and ask the council to release that money.
Yeah, I don't.
The only thing that we, like I said, he said that we'd have to bid out is the parking lot, and that's where you'll have to go to the council.
So we need to go to the
and say,
council
can we-
for sure and get, the ability for bids, right? We gotta ask them,
Yeah, ask him if we can have the engineer come up with a plan, so we'd be able to bid it out. yeah.
engineers and plans and bids.
And then I think the rest of the items just get maybe more solid numbers. So we
Right.
I
know.
think you can ask for the 2,500 for the dog shelters, so we can get that material ordered, and
Okay.
get them, we can get building them. The rest of that, like I said, some of that, until we start setting up that playground equipment, we're not gonna know exactly what we're gonna need.
Mhm.
We really can't set that up till we know exactly, once the engineers stake out the parking lot.
Yeah. And then are we gonna, I mean, it would make sense to me, but unless this is a big added cost, when they stake out the parking area, they also like kind of design into where a playground should be to fit with that?
I'll work with the engineers on that to
Okay.
make sure that we work together to figure out where the best place to put that.
Very good.
And then they'll come back with, you know,
Okay.
but like I said,
And then if you had to guess, Craig, where do you think that pickleball restroom number would come in at right now? 35, 40?
I think we're close, well, from what I got right now for numbers, I'm at 30, about 37
Okay,
is what I'm at. And like I said, some of that I might get a little better deals on, but until you actually go and get solid quotes with it,
Yeah.
it's rough estimates.
and I know Ryan, when we posed this last year, he said, that he thought the council would buck up it to get that done if needed, so, he was, and whether that still stands or not, I don't know, but.
I mean, the numbers I got, like I said, when we put everything together, we were at, right at 37.
Okay,
So I mean, that's something, I guess, if we need to talk to the council about and see if they wanna, because really the next, that's where my numbers are at, and I'm pretty sure I can get done before that 37.
yeah,
And that's with the concrete, around the building a little bit, and concrete going over to the other sidewalk for ADA purposes.
mhm.
I don't know if they.
And maybe they'll give us some,
Go to the council and just say, see if they can.
maybe they'll give us some extra love since we didn't spend all our money from last year.
Well, Craig's spending that. Concession stand.
I mean,
We got more expenses still coming in with the
Yeah.
concession stand.
because I'm thinking it'd be nice to get some of this moving, or we're gonna be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
you know.
Maybe past time
So
to,
next meeting's in April,
yeah,
then
okay.
pretty soon we're into May.
Yeah.
So I need to go to the council and get this approved, and then we can get it to you, and then by next meeting, we maybe could have had progress done already, right? We don't have to wait.
I wouldn't be if they bring up the restrooms and say that the number that we've got so far is close, right at 37, and ask if they think we should move ahead or try to move ahead and get locked
Do you
in.
think by council meeting you'll have some more solid numbers? I mean, I just want to give the council
Yeah.
true cost estimates. I don't want to come back and say, oh, we missed this by
Yeah,
$10,000.
I mean, I've got, a lot of the stuff is actual locked-in numbers, but I can just fine-tune them a little bit. Like I said, the electrical and the plumbing's that's expensive, but I'll get some more quotes from different ones, just rough ideas for them.
And is this something that you do, Craig, or is this something that I need to go to do, or how does that normally work?
Typically,
Oh,
I mean, if you guys wanted to.
you got it, man.
In the past, it's always been just, you know,
Yeah, no, I'm totally good with that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dropping the ball on something here.
So do we need a motion to release the dog park money then? The 2,500?
That's what I think Craig wants.
I
you to
think you
do.
should.
The council.
Right now, all right,
So
yeah.
we
Go to
have
council
to
for
do
the
a motion
2,500.
I think
to release, to ask them to release the money.
For the dog park, and then
no,
whatever dollar amount Craig comes up to for the restroom, correct? Is that what
yeah,
you're thinking, Craig?
I've got a couple days to get that done, so.
Do we need to make a motion for that then to?
Well, let's make a
Craig
motion to
go
have
on?
Craig approach the city council about releasing funds for the restroom at the pickleball court and the shade structures at the dog park.
Okay,
And
all-
then Craig can fine tune his numbers for the council meeting
Yeah.
and
All budget items that Craig sees fit to take.
And also too about this, drive parking lot.
yeah.
I don't think we ever did.
No.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion on that?
So would this be for the entire 290? No.
It'll be for the 215 for the parking, to get that going up in bids. It'll be
Basically-
the 27 for the bathrooms, but it's actually gonna be probably 37.
Yeah.
big Numbers, and then the 2,500 for the shade structure.
I've been making lots of promises about those bathrooms. Every time I'm at the park and somebody walks over, I go,
Don't worry.
don't worry, we're getting new ones this year.
As they pull on the door.
Yeah.
So how do we word the,
If anybody would like to make a motion to allow Craig to go to the city council and ask for release of funds or bids or engineers for any of these items that he thinks he's ready to go to.
Okay.
Make that motion.
so I'll make a motion to have Craig go to council to release funds for the parking for the soccer flag football fields, the pickleball restroom building, and the dog park shade structure. Does that work?
Yep, I think so.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good. All right, very good. Well, I think that's a good place to,
Add one more
Yeah.
thought. Is there, when we talk about, these additional things we need for someone like myself, is there like other parks you'd recommend that I could look at, we're trying to model ourselves after, Are there other
ISG
parks
is
in
supposed
Sioux
to have
Falls
some of
to
that,
go
right?
to, like, oh yeah, they got a great shade structure, they've got this, they've got that, this would be really good.
I mean, it would be helpful, like I said, if you guys would go out and get some ideas on what you would like to see for shade structures. In
Yeah.
different places, different parks, and you see, well, it's kind of cool. Get a picture of it or something, and if you can find a name brand on it. Then
Right.
I'll go do the research on get the pricing and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean,
But it's nice to have the guidance on what you guys vision and see as a park for.
and that's what I'm, as a newer resident of Sodak and Sioux Falls and Hartford, are there certain, like, parks, well-known parks, like, hey, Duncan, you should go this park? You were talking about that park with those 5,
Yeah, Sertoma, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Sertoma.
Sertoma Park's a great one, yeah, feel free to write that down, SERTOMA.
I went through Spearfish's brand new facility they put up on the east side of
Oh,
town
yeah.
here a couple of years ago.
And Wendy spends lots of time in
I
Spearfish.
snooped in there, talked to the contractors, built it, and
Yeah.
got ideas from them. That's kind of how I put together some of the concession, seeing what we thought we'd need in town for the park here, so.
By-
So, yeah, it's good to go to the parks and get ideas.
yeah, for sure.
Across 229 by, I think there's an Bear Heart Hospital there, like if you.
Oh yeah, 229 past Louis.
Yeah, if you go down there, there's a pickleball facility, outdoor pickleball facility that I think is set up great, if anybody wants to look at that. Have you been there, Wendy?
I haven't been there.
Okay, you should definitely go check it out, I think it's set up awesome. And obviously, we're not married to any plan yet, we just have 2 courts, so if you guys go and wanna look at that, I can bring in some pictures of that one, I think it's great, so. I don't know what it's called or anything, but, yeah. Any other parks that you guys see that you want to, feel free to bring in ideas, spread the word. And then I think that the next budget item, or the next agenda item, the 25 budget item update on cost estimates, I think we kind of just touched on that, so I think we kind of peruse right over that, unless there's anything else, Craig, that you have that you don't think we touched on.
Nope, that should be it, no.
The biggest one is a 27 to maybe more like a $37,000 price change on that.
Well, like I said, get those numbers dialed in, so when I go to the council, I can, see if they're willing to release some extra money.
Yeah. All right, and then, so yeah, and we're kind of working through the review 1 to 5 parks capital improvement plan, and that's that list we're talking through. We've identified the Swenson Park sign, playground shade netting, and maybe we do have some shade already in this year's budget, but maybe some protective netting.
The other
the
thing.
playground equipment.
The other thing we talked about was changing tables for the restrooms.
Yes,
That's right.
changing tables I think would be great, especially for,
At least it's a swim, but even the city park, you have so many
I think the
kids,
city
you
park
know.
for sure
Yeah.
would benefit from
That one
changing
and
tables.
Swenson, because you get so many kids going to ball and stuff.
Was it the women of today, or is it the seniors that seem like every year they want to give a little bit of money towards something? Do you remember? Or who's?
And so far, all this stuff is
Usually have
relatively
some
low
money,
cost.
I don't know changing, it's more kind of for the older generation that they.
Well, they might need it.
What's the weight limit on
Well, they
No,
might.
Then you
yeah.
gotta make sure it's really secure on the wall.
Yeah.
We're going that
So
route.
the Harvard
Kids.
Community Foundation usually has money, it's like the Sioux Falls Community Foundation, but there's a branch in Hartford, and usually they've been very good they don't have a lot of money or big expenses, but this is maybe a little something that they can do. I can certainly approach them about, if they have funds for something like this, so, yeah, so.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to them because, like I said, they like to sponsor
Well,
projects
even
here
like
and
the
there.
Girl Scouts, they did the ADA swims in the park, you know, maybe they'd be something
You want it
they
on the
would
list?
do well. So there's always organizations that have a little bit of money that they want to donate to something, so
Yeah.
we can keep that in mind and if we
Should
do
we
have
get
some.
cost estimates for how much one of those?
I can
Yeah,
get-
we
I can
will.
get some
Okay.
numbers to you.
Yeah, I'll need that before I approach anybody about it, so
Yeah.
we'll find those out.
Very good. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 things kind of identified. Nothing of huge significance like this year's $215,000 parking lot. But some really valuable things, I think, added to the community, and we can continue to add to this list.
I
As-
guess we need to know, figure out what we want to do for the sign, if we want
Yeah.
just to kind of do the same thing we did last time,
Yeah,
or
I'd-
spruce it up.
what
or
do we have
something
out
better.
there
Just a
currently?
wooden sign.
It's just a wooden sign, that was originally put up or paid for by the sports
It's
complex
just flaking
committee.
and looks
Yeah.
not
It's
good.
been-
It's peeling off.
So maybe it's time
kinda-
to invest into something more permanent,
Yeah,
right?
we-
Right, and it may be.
Especially where it's at, there's a lot of direct sunlight, so maybe something that's not vinyl, maybe more metal or something, or.
Did you guys put up the Hartford Live Lively signs?
We,
Yeah.
Teresa got those put
Yeah.
together, figured out on
Yeah, maybe we
ours.
want to go something like that, maybe a monument sign or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would be
Swenson
great.
Park or whatnot, fast signs put those, I can look at trying to get quotes
Yeah.
or something for that. So,
I think, as we're investing into these pickleball courts, I do think lights would be great. I know Craig has mentioned his concerns about vandalism on them. I think maybe if we could have a system that's on a photo cell and just turns on every night and has a hard cutoff at 10 o'clock when the park closes, I think that might be an option. Something that's not turned on and off, and then you have it open on from when the nets are up to when the nets are no longer up. You just have it on in that time frame. Turns off at 10, turns on when the sun goes down. So, I don't know if that's something anybody else would be interested in, or if Craig has
I
any.
mean, I would definitely put it down as a, you know, put numbers together for next year's budget for it.
Yeah, I think that
See what
would be
comes in,
great.
and then you guys can decide after that if you want to move forward with it.
Yeah.
Where do we want to move the kid playground equipment up to? What number are you guys thinking?
I'd do it next year.
Next,
Yeah,
I think
I'm-
in
It's
26.
it's
I'm
looking
kinda
at like
putting that,
maybe,
like on the number 1 on my last year.
so move it to like number 8. So it's right, so it'll be the first one on next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
Yep.
so put that as an 8.
And then just bump everything else down.
Mhm.
Yeah, park sign
Oh.
as a 9, you guys
Well,
thinking?
I think I'd start, because with the 25 stuff, we hopefully will have that done. So now you'd start with 26.
As a 1, 2,
As a
3,
One, two,
that's
yeah,
kind of
your
how I was
priorities,
looking
and
at
then
it,
keep
so.
going down your list that way.
Yeah, so put as a number 1 for playground equipment,
What, the sign maybe?
sign as a number 2, maybe a permanent monument type sign.
Where are the ball lights?
Pickleball lights is currently number 19.
You wanna,
I could put that as a 3, but I'm open to interpretations.
I
What do you
think those
guys feel?
scoreboards probably are needed out there too.
oh, the score,
Those, I think we have 13,000 in there for those.
so we'd have to, I don't, do you have any idea what the pickleball lights would be?
I'd have to go get prices on
Yeah.
this here.
Because we've
Just so I
got
have
ball,
before
because
July
we've
for
got
you guys.
lights for
Mhm.
ball fields at, what? Oh, we didn't kind of quote those out, but didn't we say aren't those like 300 grand?
They're gonna be right up there, yeah, because of the wiring and all that stuff to get
Yeah.
everything, even though it's all.
Wow, that's
I would certainly hope we're not there for pickleball lights, but.
Yeah, no.
Especially because, our field of play is so much smaller. I
Right,
would
yeah.
imagine it's lower.
So
And,
I wonder if we put those above the ball, because at the ball fields, that's gonna have to be like our major, a major
Yeah.
thing for one of these
Yeah, it might be
years.
something in 27, 28, you go to the council and say, we'd like to make another major purchase this year.
Yeah,
So maybe a number 4?
Yeah, and I do kind of feel the sense that, there's been so much money stuck out there, they kind of would like to get some other stuff
I
done.
agree.
So I think if you don't, if you skip a big project out there next year, I think it'd be.
At the budget meeting,
better.
it
Yeah.
was very much
what did
the
we do,
feeling.
what did we do for 3?
Number 3, I thought we were looking at the scoreboards.
Oh, the
Leaving that at Number
scoreboards,
3.
okay.
And then lights for pickleball, number 4. Everybody on the same page so far?
Lights for pickleball is 4.
You could throw.
The changing tables, is that something we even need to put on here?
I
or
will
is that
put
too
that on there
tiny?
for now. Let me check into like
See
what
what
their
they-
cost. I don't think
Yeah,
they'd be
'cause I
a
think
big
they're
cost,
gonna
and I
be
think maybe we can
small.
get that small grant to go over them, pay
Yeah.
for them, so.
Yeah.
Let's leave that off for now. Let
Yeah.
me do some checking on that. Sounds good.
I think the netting between black tie and soccer fields is probably still pretty important.
Alright.
Leave that on there on number 5.
I was kind of wondering about those. Could that be advertising? Could you get those screen printed,
Maybe.
that netting?
Maybe, I think.
I don't
We-
know. You know what ones we looked at are the ones, those soccer fields, or I don't know if that's what he's planning on, but somebody that has them are those soccer fields by, Great Shots.
Yeah, that's what I looked up.
Yeah,
what price.
they've got those big nets. I don't know if they're stable enough to, I don't know if you wanna do that or not. To put some kind of advertising on them, I don't
It'd be
know, they don't
really-
have any on theirs. They probably don't need it, cause they're Sandberg.
Yeah, they're really cool, and in my opinion, because you have black tie right there, if you had a thing that was just, however long, that just said black tie, like really long, if you could get them to do something like that. But we do ask those companies for a lot, kind of, and everybody does all year long, so. But it would be,
Yeah,
it would be a
I'm
good look for
I'm
that
not,
company.
yeah, I'm not sure though. I haven't looked at those in a while to see if that would work or not.
Yeah, so those changing tables are anywhere from $300 up to
Oh,
$600.
yeah, yeah, so not too terribly much. Okay, so then that netting, so then that's, what are we looking
Teresa, what is Sunshine Foods? They signed up for advertising, how much is that?
So they they want a banner put on, so
And how much?
$500 for a banner is what we're gonna put up. So what is it, 4x6? Is what it is?
$500 a banner?
Yeah, for the year.
But that money goes back to the general, and then we gotta ask for it.
Yeah, and that's where all the money's,
So
you're
anything
getting
that
it from
goes
is from
out
the
there
general.
doesn't come to,
The park
doesn't
board.
necessarily come to the park.
Well,
So-
in a roundabout way, too,
In a
all the
roundabout.
money you get comes from the general,
Yeah,
so I mean,
so it goes in the general, then you guys gotta put your budget list together and see it.
the council's got to approve
Yeah,
it.
and that's something-
It doesn't automatically come to you,
Right.
yeah.
But that's something when you go to them, you could say, we are getting more advertising out there, so this kind of money we're hoping is coming in again next year, so we'd like to see our budget increase or whatever. But that's something you'd have to figure out when you go and get your budget put together, so.
So then the only.
But I mean, if someone, if you're gonna ask someone to advertise and, $500 or whatever, and you can tell them, hey, this money is geared to go to park improvements, whatever we're doing, versus just going in the general fund.
I think you could tell them that all this donations, are.
Well, all of it's
Yeah.
coming
we're
from the
hop-
general
yeah,
fund.
It goes into the general, but like I said, we're hoping to
Yeah.
get more of these projects done because of the general fund,
I
I mean, the
would be.
general fund gave you $300,000 this year, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
any money.
Exactly.
But like if somebody would donate, let's say somebody wanted to donate to change the table, what we do there is they just basically go down and talk to Teresa, she's got a form to fill out that they want to donate it. We approve it ourselves amongst staff, that, yeah, this is a good idea, whether it's a tree, change the table, whatever, birdhouses. A lot of times we'll just say, yeah, that seems like a good fit, and then we'll make a little plaque for them.
Yeah. we-
So everything donates, and it doesn't come out of the city's money, it comes from,
I understand.
private.
Yeah.
We donated a bench.
So, yeah, you donate, you know how it
We
works,
know.
yeah, you know how it works.
I'm just trying to think of more revenue streams to
Yeah.
get some of this stuff,
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
the lead up to the concession, let's say at Swenson Park. I mean, you're gonna do cement. I mean, I've seen where, you put bricks and people's name on, we've all seen it where,
We've got it down at Turtle Creek, actually.
Yeah.
We got a lot of vacant spots, if you want a brick.
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put one in there, I think there's maybe a
A
third
brick or
full.
donation brick by brick.
What did we decide to do with the current number 8, concession restrooms for soccer, flag football? Are we bumping that down?
I think we were gonna hold off on that one probably another year.
I would
Okay.
suggest holding
Just
off
to-
to see
How
how,
this
how
one goes.
well we can get workers for this year.
Yeah, if we can't get concessions, they're not gonna want more
Second.
concessions.
Exactly, yes.
Have two of them try to.
I would, number 23, tree plantings where needed, I would be fine, like, even just pinning that as like a forever top 5 item. So it's not like this year we're gonna plant $4 million of trees, but every
Every
year
year plant so
we
many.
put so many towards
Yeah,
it, so.
so the ones out that are on the fields right now out there, actually got put in by Rely Bank. They had money set aside that they donated to put them together. Otherwise, every year, I usually get about $1,000 budgeted for just replacement trees in the park. So like we are, every time we take some trees down, we'll put some back in, you know, so, you know, if I have something out there that needs to be replaced, or maybe we got a tree, when we get done, say, yeah, it'd be nice to stick another one out here, you know, so we keep adding trees to the parks. It might be something that maybe you might wanna go for budget time and ask if you can get a little more budget money for trees to put some, start building more up, putting out there. You know? So you might be able to bump that up to 2,000 instead of 1,000.
Yeah, what do you think is a good number to actually start making an impactful difference out there, like, or if we wanted to, do you think it would be a good idea to move in more mature trees with the tree mover, and just to start to get something developed out there?
Truthfully, right now, with what we've got, it's so hard to keep it watered.
Yeah.
It's tough, I mean, because the guys are hauling water, somebody usually hauls water every day, just in the parks, to the trees, just to keep them watered.
So you said those trees,
Even the ones we do,
Craig, you said those trees are 10 years old,
yeah,
and they're still,
they look like they're about 2 years old.
they look like they're new trees. So
Yeah.
what's the answer? I mean,
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what's going on out there, if it just there's not enough black dirt in there after they did the fields, if they got packed too hard when they moved all the equipment across it, if they need to be overdug and planted or what, so yeah, it'd be something they'd have to have somebody come and take a look at the soil conditions really and see what's going on.
I don't know how much they are, but you know those bags that you can stick on the tree, are they
I
expensive?
haven't looked into them
Yeah,
yet.
I noticed they have them in some balls at some places.
Hey, Tim, there's
Just
no
wondered
sense in
how-
planting
I don't know
trees
how
out there if
often you
they're
can.
not-
Yeah, if we don't have-
if they're not gonna grow and they look
Right.
like shrub trees 10 years later, it's,
If they're not
Maybe
expensive-
Maybe we
What
just
do we
need to
do
take
with
some
it?
plugs, get some
Yeah.
soil samples and say, what do we need to make a
but
tree
I
grow?
know-
we certainly need trees. I mean,
You
if-
know, the wind
absolutely.
does
Trees is
not help.
100% a need around
The wind's
ballparks.
tough for them trees.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Around, even like in between the ballparks, I mean, that trees would be impactful there too, so. But I would be fine, even, you know, if it was a $5,000 or $10,000 item that we put there every year until we felt like we had enough, I think would be, that probably wouldn't go far enough, you know, for,
Yeah, the trees right now we're getting are roughly around that $200 a piece.
Do we think we have enough for 2026, or the only other thing that probably we could squeeze in? I don't know how much they are, but those tee boxes.
That's what
for
I was
golf. Do we
wondering.
wanna
I think
do we
somebody
wanna-
had just posted something
I'm
on
gonna-
what's
I'm gonna say,
happening
we
about
did get an
that.
email from
Yeah,
the
wasn't that in
gentleman
the survey?
asking for improvements like the concrete back paths for the tee boxes.
So maybe we make that 6,
I would agree with that.
and then the rest of them are pretty big. Maybe we can stick the pool replacement on there.
on number
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, 7.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Upgrade.
have time to adjust it before our
Yeah.
July.
Yeah, and then we
So
can
it's a
see
good
how,
start.
Yep, I
then we
say
can see
maybe
where our
this-
costs fall out and.
Craig,
Maybe
do
just-
do you by chance have like measurements or square footage, how many square feet we have for pool area? But if I were to like, so for example, my father-in-law's brother owns a company that they build municipal pools. Could I like say, hey, we got 18,000 square foot, what have you seen? And just maybe get drawings or ideas.
I'd just go on the GIS and just pull it up. quick
Okay,
and Get some
okay.
measurements on it.
I can do that just to get
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'd end up doing. Just-
Okay,
We want
Big
big things.
very good. Well, we were getting long-winded in our meeting today versus other ones, aren't we?
Yeah.
UConn's already,
So, by no means, right, is our 1 to 5 plan concrete or set in stone. For you guys new, this is all ever evolving, and as even through this year, if we find a need that is like, hey, this is a definite need, we can throw that on there and move it up in right away too. So, feel free. You guys didn't have a whole lot of input this time around, and I didn't either my first time around, and we have, by no means are we set on what we're doing, so feel free to input as hard as you want, or as you feel compelled to, let us know. Don't.
The Swenson Park, that extend the bike trail to Swenson Park, are we waiting for that land, or is there?
We've got
some-
the land.
We have the land,
The
okay.
land's been deeded to us.
Okay.
Probably one of those projects you'll be waiting for, hopefully some type of grant.
I say,
Okay.
that's one, that's
A
like
grant
any of
one.
these trails,
Yeah.
we're gonna start looking into grants.
Okay.
Usually by the time you apply for, it's like a year process.
Okay,
applying for
I
a
think that would
grant.
be a good one. I mean, I think that's a good project.
One,
Just
yeah.
maybe get run on.
And that'd be something that it wouldn't be so much as, I mean, that'd be one of those things you throw out to the council and say, hey, we'd like to see us moving ahead in the city, do as a
Right.
project, you know, be a big project.
Sure.
One grant I recently heard about, and I think it's, historically has been open annually, but it is closed now, but would be like outdoor fitness equipment, and I thought that might be something that could fit into our parks as well. And it was actually geared more towards the older community, trying more fall prevention type stuff, but if you had like a small fitness park, I thought near the pickleball court would kind of fit in with the similar, or even like
What
moving
kind of
out of that
stuff do they put in
demographic.
that? I've never heard of
I'm
that.
not sure what
They did it in
specifically
Driver
that for,
Quite a few years ago, it's permanent structure stuff where you can,
yeah, it's a lot of
kind of
bodybuilding
like the
stuff.
military where you can do pull-ups.
Yeah,
there are
I've
pull-ups.
seen them at other
stretching
parks.
things and stuff like that.
Even something as simple as like a one step with a railing, and you
Yep.
can just work on stepping
Or
up.
something where you do, you know, go ladder, you do a bar across and you, what do you call that, where you scale
Monkey
it
bars,
around?
It's all
stuff like
permanent
that.
structure, so it can't be removed or anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I've seen
a
it
pull-up
before.
bar, like some parallel bars, dip bars, you know, that would be more towards the younger community, but I think it would all work in very
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And then like,
Like a box
So
or
that's something we should have
or
ISD
steps
looking
or something
into
to
putting
jump
into
up
the
on.
park plan?
Usually
We
there's
talked
something
about
already.
Yeah, we did.
It was brought up
We're
there.
trying to get the other crowd.
Yeah.
and then, yeah, they have a lot of stuff where it's like your weight is your lever, so like you sit in it, and as you press, it moves your weight, so you're not like, you don't have weight sitting out there, you don't have anything that you can add or subtract, it's part of the machine, and I thought,
Oh, I've seen
you know, and that's something, you know, as grants become available, I think that would be a great one to have on our radar, so then if we did apply for that grant, or that became available, we would be able to slide that in and say, hey, this is something that would be great. Plus, I would take my kids over there and do pull-ups all the time. All right,
Yeah,
kids,
start 'em young.
50 pull-ups before you can hit a slide, let's go.
Then we had last,
I thought we got it after the meeting.
maybe, do you guys know that we, or maybe, I can't remember if we talked about the last meeting about the TAP grant? We did get the grant for the bike trail that's gonna go along Mickelson Road all the way out to Turtle Creek Development.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe there was after there, must be. And I got 3 boys.
I think
over 42.
I think you were gonna hear about it like within the next couple of days.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so that is something that our engineers will be working on designing and getting done hopefully this year yet. We'll see how fast we can get it all moving along, so.
Good.
That's
Okay,
already
and-
something figured in our budget and that'll go ahead.
Good.
I'm good to move on, if anybody else wants to talk about that more, let me know. But we can move on to new business, of which we had none on our agenda here, unless there's any new business that has come to light since the agenda. And then we can move to reviewing the agenda items for April's meeting.
so we probably want to look at the food for the concession and what kind of prices we would think.
Yeah,
Yep. So the concessions and the RFP, yep.
And then potentially meeting with the reps.
Oh,
They're
right.
available.
Yep.
Yep. we want to talk any more about where to put a Purple Martin?
Yeah. So, yeah, one thing I was gonna ask is, so do we really have any, like, that's awesome, I love the idea, I love the education, but do we have anything to do with that, or would that just go to the council and get approval and he?
I think
can-
maybe the only thing you do is if you have an ideal recommended where you'd want it placed.
Okay.
You know, in the park
That's a
system.
good idea, though. I mean, it's I think he's
Yeah.
gonna do it and everything. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know if that's something you want to talk about next meeting, where you would think a placement of that could happen at, and then, like I said, you don't have to come up with cost, because he said he'd
Yeah.
cost, but.
We're just gonna let the reins go and
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
he's, I don't know if he's shooting for this year or if he's shooting for next year, I guess that'd be something to know, but I guess I'm in favor of letting him do that.
Yeah, me too.
Do we need to take a vote on if we're in favor of that, or is that, like I said, that's not really our thing, is it? Just.
Like I said, do you want to think about a placement of it and talk about the next meeting that you?
Because I think he said he didn't want it brought to council yet. He wanted to get more.
Right, he's
That's
gathering
true.
more information.
Would he really need to go to the council? I mean, if these guys come up with placement and he wants to fill out a donation form, it's up to us to decide.
Yeah, true, yeah, that, because it's not going to be a cost that has to be approved by the city council.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So then he just fill the form out if we
Yep.
give him a
So you guys
approved
can-
location.
Yeah, if
you
we
guys
give him
can
approved
look it over and say, yeah,
location,
We definitely think this would be a
And
good
if he's
spot
going to
for it.
donate, he'll fill out donate, and, but yeah, because council would only need to pay anything that's going to cost, you know, it's
Yeah.
going to require budget funds.
Okay. Anything else we can think of here on the agenda for next meeting that anybody has fresh on the top of their head?
So we'd leave on there the budget items for 26.
I think we
And
should
25
still look
and
at the
6.
budget items
Yeah.
for this year, so we can move
Yeah.
forward with that and continue to
Yeah.
talk about the CIP for next year's budget and future ones. I think I can keep those on.
Concession stand updates would be another one.
Very good. All right, and then when is the next city council meeting? We need to know that.
It'll be this coming, it'll be April 1st, this coming Tuesday.
Okay, and so Craig, you'll have a time to talk with him on Tuesday, correct?
Yep, I'll
Okay. Very
get
good.
all my numbers locked in, so I know.
And then do you just want to shoot an email out to us on what they say, or do you want to put that on the agenda? I'm good.
I mean, we'll have that on the agenda with the budget, so
Yeah.
it'll already be on the agenda. But yeah, we can let you know right away what the council says.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If they say, heck no, we'll let you
Yeah.
know.
Or, you know, I'm fine with Craig just, going to council and getting approval, and then when we come back to the next meeting, he has the approval and the work
And the
done that he
numbers
wants
and
to
what
do.
the plan is, yeah,
Just do it.
that'll give them time to work on.
Which organization utilizes Swenson the most? Like, what's the biggest, softball, football? or-
They all.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty even across the.
Oh, really? I was
Softball.
thinking one.
Flag
Depends on the
football
time of the
and
year,
soccer.
and then, no, soccer
Yeah.
continuously
It's pretty-
You
practices.
can't go to one
Like football
organization,
has-
come on, step up for
And
a
you'll have
proposal.
you'll have multiple groups out there some nights.
Yeah.
You'll have soccer going on when baseball's
Okay.
going on sometimes. I mean, every time, they kind of overlap sometimes, but.
You would have seen softball would have been utilized tonight if we, even soccer, but we kind of, soccer fields we left closed for now until they get firmed up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we did open up the softball fields sort of playing on, so it just, we did that today, so we have people that got more than what would have happened last week, you would see people out on there multiple times.
Okay, very good. Well, I think we've touched on all our items here, so do we have to make a motion to adjourn? Is that how this goes?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Anybody want a second?
Go ahead, Frank.
Frank seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Oh, one other thing, for the next agenda, we'll talk about moving that May meeting, so you guys
Yes.
kind of want to
Oh,
look at
yeah.
your calendars. Yep.